Welcome back to the Knit Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today's tutorial we're going to work on these Pebble Pop knit pillows, and this is consisting of the Trinity Stitch in order to make these pillows. Let's talk a little bit further about this pattern, and then I'm going to show you how to cast on, and I'm also going to demonstrate on how to do the stitch. It's only a one-page pattern. This is really not a hard pattern by any means. So today we have these pillows, and it's consisting of the Trinity Stitch, which is creating the bubble look that you see here, the bubble pops, and they're really quite an easy pattern in order to maintain. I'm really quite excited about it. For this particular tutorial you're going to need a 5.5mm knitting needle, or you're going to need a US 9, and you can use circular knitting needles for these in order to cast on your 82 in order to make this work. So what you're looking at for the pillow is a one-piece unit, so it's not only just the front side that you're doing, but you continue to go, and then as soon as you get enough of it you fold it in half and then just sew up along the three sides. So before you do the final side, make sure you insert your pillow form inside in order to begin. So this is consisting of the Trinity Stitch, where you're going to learn how to purl 3 together in this. Also you're going to learn how to do your knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 all within the same stitch in order to create this look. It is a one-sided pattern and it's really quite easy to maintain. So without further ado, let's grab our Caron 1-pound yarn. As you see, you only need one ball in order to do this, so just choose the color that you would like to do. Because it is a one-piece unit from the top going all the way to the back and just sewing, it's just really a one-piece unit. But if you'd like to change your colors at any point, this one would be a wonderful opportunity to do so as well. So let's take a look and let's cast on, and I'm just going to do a smaller example for you today. So let's do a smaller example, and I'm going to start off with a slip knot. Remember, we have slower tutorials available on the basics as well. So what we're going to do is that we're going to insert our knitting needle into the loop, and we're going to do a cast on. Now the nice thing about this particular pattern, it's called the Trinity Stitch. If you keep it in even numbers like 82 as it suggests, or 84, 86, as long as it's an even number, this pattern will work out for you each and every time. So what I want you to do is that we're going to cast on. So let's just put this yarn into our hands. How you hold it is up to you. We do have tutorials available on how to do that as well. So inserting your knitting needles into the loop, okay, from the back side there, and just wrapping it and then pulling it through like so. And then when you're gonna put this back onto this knitting needle that I'm tapping here, and you're just gonna rotate it and come up underside like so and slide on. So let's do that again. So going in to the next one, wrap through, okay, rotate it and throw it onto the knitting needle. Okay, so in, wrap, keep your tension nice and loose, and just wrap and put it on. So in order to make the Trinity Stitch work, you have to do in multiples of 2 or in order to make it work. So it has to be an even number in order to get this to work. So you're just going to continue. You can cast on 82 if you wish, if you'd like to do this pillow. And if you just love the stitch enough and you want to do Afghan or something even smaller, maybe a baby blanket, as long as you keep it in even numbers, this stitch will always work out for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop early in order to just show you a small sample, because I don't need to do the whole thing in order to demonstrate on how to do the stitch work in today's tutorial. So just make sure it's even. So I got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now that I have 10 on here, that's enough in order for me to demonstrate today's stitch. The stitch consists of 4 rows that repeat. So the very first row that you'll ever do, and you'll have to repeat this every time you hit it, is that it's simply a purl. So the whole thing, you don't need to count anything as you go across. So every other row is simply just a purl of what's there. So coming around the front and around, kick it over, and then slide off. That's your purl. So coming into the next one, coming to the front side, wrap and through and pull, and keep on doing that as you go. So there's no counting, so every other row is just simply a purl, and you can speed up as you want to as well. So this is just row number 1 of 4, and so you'll do this every time you hit row number 1 and number 3. Okay, so every other row is just simply a purl. When you get to the end of the row, that's it. You're just going to turn your knitting needles and begin to do row number 2, which is then the start of the Trinity Stitch that we're going to begin. So there you go. So that is it. So let's turn our knitting needles and get ready for the next row. Whenever you start row number 2, the first one is always going to be a knit. So just a regular knit. So just insert in, wrap the needle in the back, and bring it through and slide off. So in row number 2 then, the next one is knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, all within the same stitch. So how you do that is that you go into the next stitch and you go as if you're going to knit it regularly. Okay, so in, and you wrap the needle on the back side and bring it through and bring it to this needle, but do not slide off yet. You're not ready. So you have to knit one, purl one, knit one, all within the same strand that I'm moving right here. So to do the purl then is that you put the yarn in front, okay, of the needle and just rotate that needle and collect that once again to do the purl, and then wrap it to do your purl. But we still have to knit this same stitch once again. So moving this strand to the back side and coming in to that same stitch for a knit, like so. I will show this again if you didn't catch that. So all three of those that you see here all were just within one. So that was knit one, purl one, knit one. So this is what's creating that bubble look that you see, the pops. So this, now that you got all three, you can now safely slide off and finish that one. So the next three are going to be purling. So in order to do that, move this strand forward first, okay, and then going into all three. So just collect 1, 2, and 3, and you're gonna purl. So keep that needle in the front and you're gonna purl and collect all three at the exact same time and go backward and collect it onto your knitting needle and slide off. So those three just became one. So that's purl 3 together. So the next one is a knit one, purl one, knit one, all within the same one. So to begin, move the strand back to begin to the knit. So you're gonna knit, okay, pop it forward, but do not slide off. You're not ready. So move the yarn forward. You're going to purl. So just going into that same stitch, purl, okay, but you can't slide off yet. You still have to knit. So move that yarn backward and going into that same stitch and knit. So now that all three are done, you see how they're grouped together on your knitting needle. You can tell all three are done. Slide off. So the next three are 3 together. So you just continue to repeat that same thing. So one stitch is knit one, purl one, knit one, all in the same one. The next one is putting 3 together. So moving that strand forward, the next 3 are going to be 3 together. Okay, so it's purl 3 together. So wrapping it, collecting all 3 and slide off, and you just continue to do that all the way down, and the very final stitch will just be a knit like that. So that was row number 2. So let's turn our knitting needles and begin row number 3. So row number 3 is like row number 1. We just simply going in and we're gonna purl our way across. You do not need to count. So rows number 1 and rows number 3, for these you get a mental break of just straight purling across. So this is what's separating those pebbles from each other. It's just by one row in between being a purl. So as we do this, row number 4 is slightly different than row number 2, and the only difference is the starting point's different, so that the pebbles sink in between each other in order to create the look that you see. So you'll notice that the pebbles are really kind of intermixed with each other, kind of like interlocking brick, and that's because row number 4 is starting off slightly different than row number 2. So going across, we just purl. So let's move on, turn our knitting needles, and let's move on to row number 4. So row number 4, we start off slightly different. So the very first one and the very last one is like before, it's just a simply knit. So we just start off, that just gets you started. Now row number 4, instead of doing knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 in the first one, this time we're gonna do purl 3 together instead. So put that yarn forward and collect the first 3. Okay, so collecting the first 3 and then just yarn over, okay, and purl those 3 together like so, and then slide off. Now the next one is knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, all in the same one. So move that yarn back to begin, and then going in you're gonna knit and pull forward, but do not slide off. You're going to take that yarn forward and then purl into that same one like that. But you're not done, you still have to knit into that one, so move that yarn back and then knit into that same one. So that was knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, all within the same one. Once you have all 3 done, you see that they're grouped together on the knitting needle, you can slide off. So moving that yarn forward, the next 3 are purl 3 together. Okay, just like that, and just let it slide off. The next one is knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. So going in, so you're gonna knit, okay, move that yarn forward, and then now you're gonna purl. Oops, maybe I should actually collect it first. I'm gonna purl, then take that yarn to the back side and knit, all within the same one. Once you get that done, you're satisfied. You keep doing that back, or continuing those two back and forth, back and forth. So it's knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and then 3 together. Continue to do that, and then the very final stitch you're just gonna knit. So that was row number 4. So now you're just gonna repeat again, and you will notice that the work is gonna start popping out. Because it's such a small example, you don't quite see it here, but you see it clearly on the pillows when you go to do this, and it's really a neat look. So here on the pillows you can really see that it's popping out, so the more you do, the more obvious that it will appear, and this is a really neat idea. So once you get all that done and you've got your measurements, you're just gonna fold it in half, just sew up the 3 sides. Make sure you put your pillow form in first, and this is how you do the Pebble Pop Knit Pillows by Yarnspirations.com. Till next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of the Knit Crowd. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.